everybody. So excited. Good. Well, wow, there's more people than I thought. So I'm glad you're here. So, okay, so I'm assuming the reason you're here is because you want to have a better life. Is that a correct assumption? Does anybody not want a better life? I believe right now. Thanks. Okay. So this is the thing. So think in your head real quick. What would make your life better? Just real quickly, think about that. What would make your life better? Okay. With that in mind, what are some thoughts? What would make your life better?
More time.
More time, yes.
More money.
More money, yes.
I love food what I do. Work out.
Oh, I love that, yeah. Okay. Bigger house. I think, sorry?
Run all the time.
Sun all the time, I love it, yes. So we want to be happier. It's interesting because a lot of clients come to me. I'm a life coach, if anyone doesn't know that. And my clients come to me because they want to be happier. They want something. They think if only I got that, I would be happy. Well, sometimes it's not about getting that, it's about letting go of that sometimes. So with that in mind, there are things in our life that we are tolerating, thus the name of the talk. What are you tolerating in your life? I'm amazed at my capacity to tolerate things. It's like the remote control with my TV. It will be out for 2 weeks. I'll be sitting there, like trying to get the last ounce of battery. I'm cussing it. I have to get up, I turn the channel, I sit down, and then a half hour later, I do it again. Instead of just walking to the counter, getting the batteries, changing my remote control, and then sitting back down, and it's done. Isn't that weird? I'm frustrated. I could change it, but I don't. How many people can relate to that? Yes? No? Yeah. Interesting. I wonder why we do that. That's interesting that we kind of live with that. So, what are you tolerating? How many people here are tolerating dirty laundry? Don't lie. Don't lie. Yeah, it sits there and I'll get to it next week. You know, or every time I walk in, oh, dirty laundry. But that feeling of like, oh, I need to do something. What about, as someone said, you're good at your job, but you're not passionate about your job. How many people tolerate their jobs? Okay. What about romantic relationships? How many people not tolerate romantic relationships? No. Tolerate relationships, but tolerate passionate relationships, or passionless relationships. Relationships with no passion. I'm not saying that you need to get rid of the relationship, but how many people don't deal with it? Okay. What about being too busy and not being able to say no? How many people tolerate that? I do. That's my thing. So it's interesting because these little things are kind of the hardest things to change. Like the issues in our lives that cause the biggest calamities are easier. Like for me, my drugs and alcohol affected my life in such a way that I had to make a change. Like these little things, the dirty laundry, I'm irritated, but does it really affect my life? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. So, does everybody get my picture too? The cat? I was backstage and Barry goes, oh, I get it, it's the cat. It's tolerating the costume. It's these things that make me happy, just so you know. Okay, so what we're going to do tonight, we're going to acknowledge what you are tolerating. We are going to figure out why. We're going to make a plan to change. Sound good?
Yes.
Okay, real quickly, actually, John Lee, can we pass out that paper? I have 3 exercises that we're doing tonight, but I want to pass out some paper for you. And I want you to write down any things that you want to make sure you get out of this seminar tonight, because it's your seminar. Okay, so of course I have a wonderful program plan, but if I don't hit on something, there will be time at the end to ask questions. Okay, so as we pass these out, maybe on the back of that paper, write down any questions you have or anything like that. Okay? Our lovely assistants. No, so what you're going to do is on the back of it, write down any questions for yourself as a reminder to make sure that I cover everything that you want to hear, because it's your seminar. So if we don't talk about something, and you leave here and you're like, I wish we would have talked about that. Yeah. I'll ask for everyone's questions at the end. So I just want to make sure everyone gets what they need. So if you're finished with that, look at this definition, because I've been to seminars before, and I think, oh, I know exactly what we're talking about. And then 20 minutes into it, I'm like, what in the hell are we talking about? So I want to make sure we kind of have a definition. So tolerate. I'm sorry this is so small. In my living room, it was big. So, but the one I really want to concentrate on is the second one, tolerate. So it's a verb, accept or endure someone or something unpleasant or disliked with forbearance. Why in the hell would we do that? But yet we do, right? So here's the question, how do we know when we're doing it? Because sometimes we don't even know that we're doing it. Can anybody relate to that? Yeah. We go on, we become so used to it. It becomes the new normal for us. We think what's not working is actually working, right? Make sense? Yes? Okay. So how do we know when we are tolerating something? What do you think? What's some clues?
When we sign before we do it.
Sigh before we do it. I love it. What else?
Negative emotion.
Negative emotions, yes. And hold on to that, yeah. Well, don't hold on to negative emotion. But hold on to that thought because I want to talk about it. Yes. What did you get from Bob Kaiser's seminar? Oh, negative emotions, yes. No, so yes, it's that feeling inside, irritation. With my clients, I call it the sandpaper effect. It's that feeling of like, oh, something's under my skin, I'm not quite sure why. There's something in the moment that is irritating. Make sense? Now, not all tolerating things are bad, okay? There are some situations in which you should tolerate things. Examples with my cat and my dog. I'm grateful that they tolerate each other because if they didn't, there would be blood all over my apartment. So I just want to make sure sometimes tolerating is good. I love this picture. Okay, so this is your turn. So on that piece of paper, you turn it over. The first question is, what are you tolerating? Okay? So if you look here, values, career, relationships, family, spirituality, money, what things in your life under those headings are you tolerating? We're going to take about 5 minutes. Just think of some things. Any questions about the categories? Like values. You value helping people, yet you're not volunteering or talking to people. Okay, how's everybody doing? All right, we're a couple. Great. So what about values? Who has something for values that they want to share? What are you tolerating in your life in regards to values? Please.
I put down that I'm passionate about nutrition and about, I'm always telling people, don't vote with your dollars, like the food you buy. And I always in my house think like, oh, I should join some organization to help educate people about it, or, join a group that lobbies. And then I'm just like, I'll turn on Netflix then.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I can relate to that one too. The TV comes into play. So thank you. Good. What about money? Yeah?
I just thought everyone was going to raise their hand.
Yeah. Yeah, who tolerates things in regards to money? Yeah, and what is it? What is the major thing that people tolerate? Cost of cable. Oh, cost of cable. I love that. Thank you. Yes. Do you have a story for that? Because I do.
It's just so freaking expensive, and no matter how, I call them every 6 months to try, like it's obsessive. I call them every 6 months to try and get the newest deal that the
Yes.
damn flyers in the basement say that I can have. And then I have to ask them for a supervisor, and it's really crazy, and I do it every 6 months to get the best deal. But if I didn't, it would be like $300 for cable, so.
See, you're
I tolerate
consistent. That's great. Yeah, at the same point, I've been complaining about our cable bill, and then I finally called and they lowered it. But for 3 months, well, actually longer than that, I'm complaining about the cable bill. I'm tolerating it. Instead of finding out what I can do about it. So, yeah. What about debt? Who deals with debt? Yeah. So, up to this point, we've been kind of stating what we're tolerating. And I have a feeling a lot of you already knew what you're tolerating, so coming to this talk did not, you might have figured out some new things, but I think you're here to figure out how to change it. Am I correct about that? Okay, good. Make sure I'm right. So, I have a story. Who's been to Guam? No? It's beautiful. Look at it, it's beautiful. I'm so happy there. Well, I'm Facebook happy. But let me tell you a story. So I have had credit card debt since I was 20. And that's just how my life is. My parents say I'm not good with money. That's just how it is. It's my normal. It's all good. So, and when I spend money, I do have that little tinge of, I shouldn't be spending this, but oh well. So I have this really cool thing that my roommate, which most of you know, Vern, I get to fly for free, or basically for free, on his airline. So I get to go all these cool places. But once you get there, you have to pay for the hotel and the food. But who cares? I get to travel. I get to travel to this place in Hawaii and all. Who cares? I'm in. And I'm tolerating the debt, but oh well. Until Guam, and look at it. It's beautiful. I was so miserable there. I was cranky. I know it's hard to believe I can get cranky, but I was cranky. And Vern is like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, I don't want to go there, it's going to cost money. I don't want to go there. And he's like, we're on vacation. It finally dawned on me that I had hit a tipping point with my tolerance. The idea of being happy in a place like this, traveling, used to be way more than knowing I was in debt. And on this trip, for some reason, it switched. And my whole trip was colored because I was in debt. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. It was a tipping point. It affected my entire vacation. It ruined that vacation. Okay? So with that in mind, I'm wondering, how is what you're tolerating affecting your life? Like my debt finally affected my vacation and my happiness. So I want you to pair up, or in groups of 3, or even 4, and I want you to talk about, real quickly, how does tolerating things in your life affect your life, your experience with your life, maybe even your happiness with your life. Okay? Sound good? Good. Go for it. Okay, coming on back. So how does tolerating affect your life when you tolerate things? Stress. Who said stress? Bingo. Yep, great. Thank you. House. Emotional anxiety. Love it. Uncomfortable. Low self-esteem. Yes. Flat out cranky. So not just cranky. Flat out cranky. Thanks, Grant. Yeah, I agree.
Just like dogs things.
Yeah, dull, depressed. Yeah. What else? Judgment of yourself or of. Okay. I judge other people too. Don't. Yeah, because my debt, I'm looking at you going, oh, you have more, and then I'm judging myself because I don't have what you have. Like, oh, it's going to give me more. I'm How's your life coach tonight, okay? Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, guilt and shame.
Guilt and shame, love those, yes. I mean, I don't love guilt and shame, but great answers. Yeah. Anything else? Obsessive. Yeah. Yeah. So wait, did anybody have happy? Okay, just checking. Anybody have intent? Okay, I'm just checking. I can't make any assumptions. Okay. So, it's interesting because this, what I heard is that this tolerating is affecting our happiness, okay? And the energy we spend towards dealing with tolerating is energy we're forfeiting towards succeeding or being happy. Is that fair to say? Yeah, it's interesting. So I used to be, well, I'm still an actor, but I'm not acting anymore. I mean, hopefully tonight I'm not. But I had an acting teacher who talked about intentions. My acting teacher told me you could never play more than one intention at one time. Does everybody know what an intention is? An intention is how I do something. So if I grab this water bottle, I grab it like, yeah, I'm grabbing it to kind of flirt with Melissa, or I could be grabbing it to hit her with it, because I want to punish her. But I can't do both at the same time. I can do them really quickly together, but they're not at the same time. It's like emotions. You can't have more than one emotion at the same time. Think about that. But with this, so every time you're tolerating something, you are forfeiting being happy or stress-free and content. Everybody with me? Makes sense? Any people disagree? Yes?
I disagree. Well, I disagree. I feel it can make you somewhat content in the meantime until you're say you have like a finish or a goal towards the end of the tolerating. So in the meantime, it just makes you happy and content enough to get your stuff done in anticipation of the final product.
Great. So,
Makes sense?
so what if you could do, no, it just makes sense. And thank you for thinking outside the box. I love that. So here's my question is, what if you could get to that end result without having to tolerate something? That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, magic.
Yeah, well, magic or, I'm not a magician tonight, so but we'll keep talking. But keep that in mind, because I want to come back to that, okay? So, why the hell are we doing this? Why? Because we're lazy? You know what? It's interesting. I've never met a lazy person. Sorry?
It's ingrained in us. It's like we're programmed to do it. It's like that gentleman there said, oh, we're tolerating something to get to a bigger reward, like, oh, we're tolerating our job so we can go on vacation, or we're tolerating, I don't know, just different things like this workout class so I can be thin, or, it's ingrained in us, like suck it up and the reward will come later.
No pain, no gain.
Yeah.
Right? I love that. I think we are programmed to a certain extent, and I want to come back to that too. Remember when I point at you, because I have a really bad memory, I'm going to say, what did you say? You're going to tell me, okay? So, and who said lazy? It's interesting. I've not really met a lot of lazy people. I'm a coach, and people come to me, I'm just lazy. We do what we want to do. Because if we were lazy, we wouldn't do anything at all. I have no problem, getting to that latest movie, I want to see. No problem. But when I have to work on, say, presentation, oh my gosh, I want to watch TV. I'm not lazy. So, but yes, we're programmed. Who said something else?
Oh, I just wanted to say because everyone else is doing it. That's why we're tolerating it, because everyone else is.
Oh, great, perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to fit in.
It's the way the world works, kind of.
Okay, nice. And I wonder why we're fitting. And I wonder why we're fitting in. Yes. Hi.
Maybe that's the fear of the unknown. Right? You also have the fear of the unknown. So once you quit tolerating like a family member, what's going to happen? Like what?
Yeah, uncomfortableness of change, which we're going to talk about that in a second. But yeah, so we're damned if we do and damned if we don't. Yeah, and there is a certain amount of comfort in tolerating things, I think. So, so here's your next assignment, should you wish to do it. Is I want you to think about how might tolerating things be a way to keep you safe, to keep you from succeeding, or to be keeping you from feeling happy and content. And why would you do that? So how might tolerating things be a way to keep yourself safe / to keep yourself from succeeding? Ever hear of the fear of success? How could tolerating things possibly be part of our ammunition to keep us from succeeding? Because if we're tolerating, we're not succeeding. So think about that. Groups of 3 or 4 or 5, just come up with some general ideas. And I'll give you a couple minutes. Thank you. Okay, so let's go ahead and come on back.
Like this. That's okay. No. That was meant to happen.
Excuse me. I'm sorry for excusing me. Excuse me. Okay, come on back, everybody. So, here's the question of the minute. How might tolerating things be a way to keep you safe, to keep you from succeeding, or to keep you from feeling happy and content? What do you guys think? Tell me more about that.
If we're always in that mode of tolerating something, that's the zone that we're always in. And so then therefore, I don't want to move from that. I'm going to stay paralyzed in that. And of course, there's that whole book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, which is an excellent book, but you can read the book and it's, for me, it wore off a week later or whatever. So anyway, you're staying in your comfort zone or the fear of the unknown, and I'll just pass the microphone down here.
That's a great point. So all of us have a thermometer of comfort. And usually it is programmed very early in our life. Okay? So we have an image of ourselves, what we think we deserve, or whatever it may be. It may be a certain amount of it's happiness that we learn that we can tolerate. Anything more and we get really uncomfortable. Which sounds weird. Don't we all want to be happy and successful? But there are some reasons why once we go beyond that point, we kind of pull ourselves down by doing things, by tolerating things, by making chaos in our life, whatever it may be. Okay, we'll talk about why in a second. Can anybody relate to that? Yeah, when things are going really well, you're like, and then all of a sudden you do, who knows? You're late for an appointment. You're like, why am I late? Things are getting too good, and subconsciously kind of bring yourself down. So, okay. What else? Yes, sure.
I know for myself, I don't want things to get too good. I don't really want the things I say I want, but if I have them, then I can lose them, and I'm going to feel real bad.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so the fear of, so if you get it, then you can lose it.
Yeah, I don't want to lose that.
Yeah. So that kind of makes sense. So it sounds like maybe tolerating things is a way to keep us safe. Okay, anything else? Yeah.
I was thinking, as far as like jobs, I always think if I do what I love, I'm not going to be able to make money. And by doing something that I don't necessarily love, I will always have money.
Interesting. That's interesting. So the thought that if you do what you love, you won't have money, or maybe subconsciously you don't deserve money. Who knows? Who knows? It's all thoughts. Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah. Right, so you don't prepare because you're going to fail anyway. Yeah, for me, and I do the same thing, is God forbid I prepare and then I fail. What does that mean about me then? Let me just not prepare, so then if I do fail, that's the problem. It's not me. It's that, okay? Good. So, the why. So why do we do this? Okay, so this book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, an amazing book. Okay, and it explains why we do this, the fear of success, or rather how we keep ourselves from succeeding. And it's to keep ourselves safe. Basically, we are living, as Gay Hendricks says, with 4 beliefs in our system. Now, rarely does everyone have all 4 of these beliefs, so there may be some of these that I list, and you're going to be like, yep, not me. Cool. Don't even try to make it work. But there will be some that you go, oh my, that's me. Okay? So the first one is we feel like we're fundamentally flawed. So we're not good enough. So if something happens that does not reflect this, God forbid someone give us a compliment, we have to say, oh, no. And then we tell them they're wrong because their compliment has to be wrong because we're fundamentally flawed. We could not be good. Make sense? Anybody have that? Cannot take a compliment? Yeah. Okay. So tolerating, not having a compliment, I guess? I don't know. So the second one, disloyal or would be abandoning. So it's interesting. So I grew up with, I'm adopted, but my biological father was very poor and was an active alcoholic. So I figured out that I had made a pact with him when I was real little, that it was going to be us together forever. He was my big buddy, you know what I mean? So he was always failing because of his disease. He just was swimming upstream all the time. So any success I would have, when he would come see it, because as I said, I was an actor, he'd come to my shows, I would feel almost ashamed when he was in the audience. I never understood that. And then when I read this, I was like, oh, that's right, because I'm not keeping up the contract. We're gonna be buddies down here, not up here. Make sense? Anybody relate?
Yeah.
Whew, good. Okay. Well, not good, but more success brings bigger burden. Who said if I succeed, I will have to do it again? Yes. Or more success means that my life will get more complicated, or more will be expected of me. Yes. Yes. So it's kind of making sense why we are tolerating things now, isn't it? Yeah, so isn't it interesting? The irritation of tolerating things is less than actually being successful. We're talking about that tipping point. Okay, interesting. Last one. The crime of outshining, especially with friends. I know as actors, that usually actors all start out in a group, and they're all trying to make it. One makes it, and the group turns. Especially if they make it big. I never liked him anyway. Do you know when he did that party? Yeah. So it's that thing of like, oh, I'm going to lose all my friends. I can't shine brighter than the people around me. Make sense? Anybody have that? That happens in family too. So especially with people from larger families. So, okay, cool. Thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, regrets? Okay, good. So the tipping point is when we say it tips, we say this is tolerating is more pain than whatever it is that we are trying not to tolerate, the success. Does that make sense to everyone? So I have a story about a friend of mine who is a weight loss coach, and he, an amazing guy, and he told me this story actually last weekend, is that he lost 126 pounds in 1 year. Yeah, okay. Before that, though, he'd been on all these fad diets, he'd done exercise, he'd done all these things, but they never worked. His tipping point. He went to a party, and he had a picture with a friend of his who he considered to be a large woman. Larger than him. He got the pictures back. That was not the case. At that point was the tipping point. So he lost the 126 pounds. From what I understand, from just eating regularly, no fad diets, none of the, Atkins diets, whatever it may be, just regular diet. And he exercises like a normal person. But the difference was he had that tipping point. So when the pain gets great enough, then we'll change. Doesn't this sound familiar? The difference is, though, with some of the other things that we change from, the pain is greater. So it's heightening that pain. And until you have that pain, maybe it's just accepting that you're not ready to change yet. Dirty laundry, so it's there. The issue is I'm stressing about it right now. That's what the real issue is. So tolerating it does not necessarily mean I'm going to go do my laundry. That means I'm going to give myself permission to not do the laundry. I've heard once the laundry gets high enough and I don't have underwear, I'm going to do the laundry. Hopefully. I never tested that theory out, but I'm assuming. So a tipping point. The second thing, which was already talked about, was make a decision. I know exactly when they made that decision to get rid of my debt. My roommate and I were sitting at a TGIF, or TGIF Fridays, in Guam. But sitting there, and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's caused him stress, it's caused me stress, I'm not going to do this anymore. And there was so much relief. Before, when I tried to get rid of my debt, I'd be like, okay, I'm not going to eat out, I'm going to save money, and okay, yay! And then 2 weeks later, I'm spending money. This time, there was just a nice, calm, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not going to do this anymore. Okay, and then so someone said make a decision, so that was right on. The next one is make an action plan. But I love what Kylan said. Small steps. A way to sabotage our success is by making big goals that we will not do, and we will get overwhelmed. One of the things about people being lazy, people are not following their values usually. You know, they're doing exactly what they want to be doing. But another thing is that people get overwhelmed. We get overwhelmed with a lot of goals, especially if they're not specific. So small goals, okay? And this was a hard one for me with my debt because I wanted it all gone. So I'm going to either pay everything on my credit card or nothing. Well, paying everything on my credit card, well, I didn't have money. Well, I had to put things on my credit card. It's this vicious cycle. This was the hardest thing for me, was the small, manageable steps. I have a mentor who I talked to, and I talked about this. Small, manageable steps, balance. Make sense? Okay. In this process, too, especially in this part of change, we have to be on the lookout for ways that we're trying to sabotage our change. Okay, so be looking at this. And if something doesn't feel right inside, take a look at that. Like, you know, if I'm spending way too much money on this credit card, you know, I'm smart. I can figure that out. Make sense? Okay. Last part. Feelings are not facts. Yeah, some people know that. So we talked at the beginning how tolerating things, we tolerated things, and there was this irritation, uncomfortableness. Okay? But then someone mentioned that it's uncomfortable to change. Right? So what's the difference? Is it the same irritation? Or is it a different feeling? Which one's not as painful? Sorry? I think they're both pretty painful.
Making the change is what's painful.
Make the changes painful, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think over here, I think you said that was shame and guilt were one of the feelings, right? Shame and guilt is part of the irritation. If you feel shame, guilt, or I should do something, that's part of the irritation of tolerating something. Really relate to that? Uncomfortableness because something is, you're doing something new. Usually you can't really tell what it is you're irritated about. Okay, it's uncomfortableness. Not necessarily irritation, but uncomfortableness. Does that make sense? One, shame, guilt. The other one, uncomfortableness. In order to change, you will have to go through this uncomfortableness because we are kind of taking this train. Someone said that we're already on a, we've made this, we're programmed. We're literally taking a freight train, taking it off the tracks and putting it on the new tracks, which means it's going to be uncomfortable. So we're going to go back to our old ways. But during this time, feelings are not facts. So when you're feeling that uncomfortableness, and especially with my debt, F it, I'm just going to go spend money. No. Those feelings, stay with those feelings and kind of look inside, why are you feeling uncomfortable? And that will tell you why you've been tolerating things. Does that make sense? Yes. Perfect, good. Okay, last part. Wish no one said. Be nice to yourself. This is really important because tolerating, we are not being nice to ourselves. Okay? But in this process, you will not do it perfectly. No. You are guarding, there's a dog guarding this success. It does not want you to get hurt, so it's going to fight pretty ferociously. So there's going to be times when things aren't going like you planned. That's okay. Just get up and do the next right thing. Make sense? Okay, I've been talking a lot. What are you guys thinking? Questions, comments? Nothing? You guys asleep? Not yet. Okay, so I have one more exercise, and then we're going to do a meditation. How's that sound? Yay! Okay, so no questions? Just want to make sure. Okay, so this is the exercise. And sorry, it's hard to read. You're going to make a small, achievable goal for yourself this week. And then you're going to get an accountability partner from this audience. Okay? So you're going to make a small goal for yourself on something that you've been tolerating. Small. Okay? To deal with it. And then you're going to get an accountability partner. Make sense? Good. And I would suggest checking in on Sunday. Give yourself some time to kind of see how things are going. Okay? So this is, I want to do a meditation now, but I want to answer any questions so we can finish up with the meditation. Question, yes?
Thank you. I have a question about, I can make as many plans as I want, but one of the things that I struggle with is, let's flip that. I'm really good at telling people what they want to hear and figuring out what that is. That's a strength of mine. But it's also a challenge in that sometimes I tell people what they want to hear or respond in a way that I know that they want, even though I don't want to do that. And it makes me really uncomfortable. But it's really hard for me in that moment of immediate feedback to find the place to intervene. So I'm wondering if you have any suggestions or thoughts about that, about how to find the intervention point.
Do you mind if I coach you for a little bit?
No, not at all.
Okay, let's go for it. So I guess my question for you is, what would happen if you didn't do what they asked?
I don't know, but I think what I feel is that I would see them be disappointed or put off or unhappy. Blech.
Yeah, ugh. So what is your fear around that?
My fear, I think, is that like that's where my value comes from in like what making other people feel good or that sort of thing, that's where my value comes from, some of it. And so if I don't do that, then what is my value? I think that's my fear. That's a kind of deep fear, but I think that's what it is deep down.
I can relate to that. Can anybody relate to that? Yeah. What if they don't like me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's interesting is that you're worried about them liking you, their feelings, and yet you're feeling that ickiness. Interesting. Okay. So what is your value? What's the truth?
I don't know how to answer that question. I don't have an answer for you. I feel like I should, like I know, I've been to enough therapy to be like, oh yeah, no, I have value as a human. But
Sure. So let me ask you this. When you aren't agreeing with someone, are you trying to be malicious?
No.
Are you trying to hurt them?
No.
Are you sure? Just to make sure.
Usually, yes.
Okay.
I mean, the vast majority of the time, yeah.
So when you disagree with someone, putting aside their feelings, what's going on inside of you?
I am being true to myself.
Interesting. And is that true?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. How awesome is that?
Friggin' awesome.
So I guess then, here's my question is, how do we then allow you to be true to yourself? And truth means stating how you feel, and let go of then people's thoughts about you. How do we do that? She's like, I just asked you that question.
How do we do that? I guess maybe stating like what I'm afraid of, like literally, like what is the worst that could happen?
What is that?
Like this person is gonna tell me that they hate me or that like I'm worthless or what, like, that's the worst thing that could possibly happen. It's probably not gonna happen. And if it did, that's not about me. That's about them.
So is that worth tolerating your uncomfortableness?
Is what worth tolerating my uncomfortableness?
Having them not say that because you said the worst thing they could do is say that they hate you or
or that I'm worthless.
So you're worthless. So
Yeah, no, it's not. If somebody says that, there's no value in them liking me anyway, I guess. So,
yeah, something to think about. And that's easy for this part of yourself to say.
Yeah.
But there's other parts that are uncomfortable with that, which you have to honor. Okay. So it sounds like we kind of need a Band-Aid to kind of get you through to that next thing.
yeah.
Want that? Okay. So one of my favorite things that I've learned recently is a pause. Because I people please by reaction. When I respond, I still people please, but less often. So pause. Give yourself that time. A friend of mine that's very wise says that, you know, you don't have to say anything at this point. You can say, let me get back to you on that point. Or my friends will hear, that's an interesting thought. I say it a lot. So it's like a pause, okay? Second thing, though, is, and this is part of the Crucial Conversations program, is that going into a situation like this is what I want to have happen. Let me rephrase it. This is what I don't want to have happen. This is what I do want to have happen. So right now, I don't want you to think I don't like you. I don't want you to think that I'm judging you. I do want to state how I feel as clearly as I can. Would that be okay? And to be able to say it clearly. Would that help?
Yeah, I think so. I really do.
We'll pause, okay?
Yeah.
So is that something you can work on this week?
No. Yes, yes, it is. Yeah, I think
This is when
that it
people
is.
please. Work with me. I'm kidding. Really kidding. So, okay. What challenges do you think would come up with that?
I think that it's scary. It takes a lot of energy to be scared.
Yeah.
So I think that is a challenge that can come up with it.
So when that comes up, what are you going to do? You're scared.
It takes a lot of energy to feel crappy about saying something that I didn't want to say or doing something I don't want to do too.
It's a lot of energy.
So, and it won't feel uncomfortable forever, whereas this has felt uncomfortable forever.
Wow. Okay. So maybe this week, maybe work on what would you like to work on this week with this?
I would like to work on taking a pause, which for me usually means a breath.
Great. Good. On a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being I'm going to do that, and 1 being there's no way in hell I'm doing this. I'm just trying to get Bob to shut up. Where are you at?
I think it's completely doable. I think it's a 10.
Okay, great. Good. Well, I'll see you next week, so I'll be able to check in and see if what happens.
You're my
So
accountability
good.
buddy.
And notice when you get that uncomfortable feeling, what you're scared about, and ask yourself, is it true? You know what I mean? Because those are true feelings, But sometimes our fears are irrational. So it's just to, think about that. Make
Awesome.
sense?
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
Great, thanks.
Any other questions? That was a really good one. Thank you. Okay, you guys ready to do this quick meditation and then get out of here? Unless there's other questions. Okay. Just like this picture. I know, like the puppy dog. Okay, so if you want to, please put everything on the floor. Get rid of things on your lap. Put 2 feet on the floor, hands on your legs, or wherever you feel comfortable. Okay. Go ahead and just close your eyes. And take a deep breath in. And breathe out. We've done a lot of work here, so we're just going to kind of let everything process. So take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. I want you to focus on your feet, your legs, and notice any tension in them. Take a deep breath in, and take a deep breath out, and as you breathe out, think of that tension melting away, almost like ice melting into water. And it's just going to melt straight into the ground. So from your legs, into your feet, and into the ground. Now focus on your abdomen, chest, arms. Notice any tension that you have. Take a deep breath in. That deep breath melting any tension. Again, like ice melting into water. As you breathe out, the water is going down your chest, into your legs, into your feet, and into the ground. Now focus on your neck, your head, your shoulders. Just notice any place you're carrying tension. It's completely fine. We all do it. Just notice the tension. Breathe in. Melt that tension. And let it drip on into the floor. Deep breath. As you breathe out, release any remaining tension. Great. Now, in front of you, I want you to imagine a staircase with 5 steps going down. You're going to take a step each time I count a step. So step 1, step 2. As we're going down, you're feeling more relaxed, more comfortable. Step 3, 4, 5. At the bottom of the steps, you notice that you're in a room. This room is so warm, so inviting. The energy in here is so good to be in. And across the room, you're going to notice that there's a person. This person actually is you, your perfect self. So when you want to walk over to you, and you notice that the perfect you is smiling, is happy, is content, and is so excited to see you and loves you so much. You start to say, yes, but. And your perfect self stops you. Because your perfect self knows the perfect being that you are. Just standing in the presence of your perfect self, you start to feel who you are as that perfect self. You feel the warmth in your heart. The heart as it opens up, it encompasses you. The feeling of peace. The feeling of having everything that you ever wanted. And that just being you. At this time, if you have any questions for yourself, for that perfect self, questions on how to maintain this in the real world, how to stay in touch with you, how to love you, ask yourself. The perfect self has been waiting to talk to you, is excited to talk to you. Ask yourself any questions that you have. it's time to start heading back. So at this point, say goodbye to your perfect self, knowing that he or she will be with you. You can't get rid of your perfect self. As much as you may try not to hear it, they're always there. After you've said your goodbyes, we walk towards the stairs. And then count backwards with 5. Step 4, 3, 2, 1. And at your own pace, feel free to open your eyes. So that concludes the seminar. I want to thank you so much for this opportunity. I also want to state that I think that the suggested donation was $5. This organization is an amazing organization, one dear to my heart. So if you have extra money to throw their way, highly suggested. For people who don't know, it's an organization that supports gays and lesbians in recovery events from drug and alcohol addiction. So it's an amazing, amazing event and group of people. So anyway, thank you very much, and I wish you the best on your goals. I can't wait to hear more about them. So thank you.